I am the first millionaire in my family. Let those words sink into your mind, for they are not merely a statement, they are the reality I choose to live. From this moment onward, my consciousness carries the wealth, the freedom, and the abundance that I have always imagined. I do not wait for life to bring me riches. I live from the state of having already arrived. I feel it. I embody it. I breathe it. And because I am that feeling, the world conforms to my inner assumption. Living in the state of having is the foundation upon which all true wealth is built. Wealth is not something that comes from waiting, striving, or hoping for the future. It is a state of consciousness that begins within. To live as if you already have what you desire is to invite the universe to mirror that reality back to you. The mind cannot distinguish between what is imagined and what is experienced. So when you feel, think, and act as though you are already wealthy, life arranges itself to match that inner assumption. The moment you fully embody the consciousness of abundance, opportunities that once seemed distant suddenly appear, doors that were closed swing open, and circumstances begin to align in ways that confirm your inner knowing. Wealth, then, is not an external accumulation of numbers or possessions. It is the internal recognition of sufficiency, value, and power. When you accept that you are already rich in consciousness, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. To live in the state of having requires a shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of fullness. It is not about waiting for your bank account to reflect your dreams or for others to validate your worth. It is about feeling with every fiber of your being that you are already complete and abundant. Imagine the life you desire in vivid detail. See yourself walking through it, interacting with it, celebrating it, and do not let the current circumstances of the world convince you otherwise. Your imagination is not merely a tool for entertainment, it is the workshop of reality. By dwelling in the feeling of having, you claim the life you want before it materializes. The world will follow where your consciousness leads, and the state you inhabit now becomes the blueprint for all that unfolds. Living as though you already possess what you seek also frees you from the anxiety and stress of pursuit. There is no tension in fulfillment. There is no struggle in abundance. There is no tension in fulfillment. You do not chase wealth, you radiate it. Your confidence, your calm, and your clarity act as magnets, drawing into your life the people, situations, and ideas that complete your vision. Every step you take is guided by a sense of certainty, not by fear or lack. In this state, you are not reacting to life, but creating it. You are the conscious authority of your experience, and everything that appears outside is merely a reflection of what you hold within. Many fail to understand that wealth begins as an inner reality. They look for evidence in the material world, believing that abundance is only real when it is visible, measurable, or tangible. But by the time it becomes visible, it has already been conceived in consciousness. Living in the state of having means refusing to be influenced by current appearances, temporary shortages, or societal limitations. It is the practice of assuming the feeling of fulfillment now, of dwelling in it continuously until your imagination has fully impressed itself upon your life. Every thought, every emotion, every decision becomes aligned with the reality you have chosen, and the outer world bends to that inner truth. To live in this state is to recognize that wealth is not merely money, possessions, or status. It is freedom. It is creativity. It is the sense of sufficiency in every moment. It is the confidence that no matter what unfolds, you are secure, capable, and prosperous. When you consistently embody this consciousness, life will bring the circumstances, the opportunities, and the resources that correspond to your inner richness. Living in the state of having is not a temporary exercise, it is a permanent shift. It is the unshakable knowing that you already are and always have been the wealth you seek, and the world around you will reflect that truth without fail. Consciousness creates reality, and this is the ultimate truth of life. Everything you see, everything you experience, and everything that surrounds you is a reflection of your inner state. The outer world is not separate from you. It is a mirror of the consciousness you inhabit. If your thoughts are dominated by fear, lack, or limitation, then your experiences will inevitably reflect that scarcity. But when your consciousness is aligned with abundance, with wealth, with success, then your external life cannot help but follow. Wealth, prosperity, and opportunity are not found by chasing them outside of yourself. They are realized by cultivating an inner awareness of already having them. Your reality responds not to your wishes or hopes, but to the living assumption you carry. When you feel wealthy, secure, and abundant in your mind and heart, the world responds by bringing the corresponding circumstances into manifestation. The first step to understanding this principle is to recognize the power of feeling. Thoughts alone are not enough. Feeling is the creative force that impresses your inner world upon the canvas of life. It is not enough to think, I want to be wealthy or I will have abundance one day. These are words of desire, but desire looks outward for proof. The conscious feeling of already being wealthy is the key. When you live in the emotion, the conviction, and the satisfaction of wealth now, you are planting the seed from which your reality grows. The mind does not question what it experiences as real. If you feel it fully, if you believe it completely, the universe has no choice but to bring it forth. This is why people who embody wealth in their imagination and in their state of consciousness inevitably see it appear in the external world. Their reality is shaped first internally, then reflected externally. Every circumstance, every encounter, and every opportunity is guided by your inner state. If your consciousness is fixed on limitation, then life provides experiences that confirm that limitation. But if you dwell in a state of wealth and abundance, life adjusts to match that inner knowing. You begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before, doors open that seemed firmly shut, and helpful people appear in your path. These are not coincidences. They are the natural response of the outer world to your inner assumption. Your reality is not a random series of events, it is the faithful mirror of your consciousness. The power of this principle lies in its consistency. Consciousness does not discriminate between imagined and physical realities. It responds to what is dominant in the mind. When you consistently embody the state of wealth, every action, decision, and thought becomes aligned with that reality. You begin to act from the perspective of someone who is already prosperous. Your confidence increases, your choices become sharper, and your presence alone begins to attract abundance. Life begins to cooperate with you because your inner world is already settled in the reality you desire. Living with this understanding changes the way you perceive obstacles and challenges. What once seemed like setbacks are now recognized as temporary conditions that cannot alter the reality you assume within. Your external circumstances do not dictate your worth, your potential, or your abundance. The only authority is your consciousness. And when you maintain the feeling of having, the world adjusts. The richer your imagination, the more vivid and certain your inner state, the faster and more beautifully your external life reflects it. Consciousness creates reality. It is the invisible hand that shapes everything you experience. When you choose to feel wealthy, to embody success, to dwell in the joy and satisfaction of abundance, you are not pretending, you are claiming your reality. Your inner state, held with conviction, molds your life from the inside out. The universe does not resist, it mirrors you perfectly. Every moment, every thought, every feeling becomes the blueprint for the life you live. Wealth, prosperity, and freedom are not distant goals. They are the natural manifestation of the state of consciousness you embrace now. Breaking family patterns begins with understanding that your identity is far more powerful than the circumstances you inherit. You are not bound by the financial struggles, limitations, or beliefs of those who came before you. The life you imagine and assume as true has the power to override generations of conditioning. To become the first millionaire in your family is not merely an achievement, it is a declaration that identity, consciousness, and imagination are stronger than heredity. Yo, your past does not dictate your future. You carry within you the creative power to rewrite the story of your lineage, to set a new precedent, and to establish a legacy of abundance and freedom. Every belief, every limitation that once seemed unbreakable is only real because it has been assumed as such. By assuming the identity of wealth and success, you shatter those old assumptions and lay the foundation for a new reality. This transformation begins in the mind. You cannot break patterns by trying to force external results. You must first embody the new state within yourself. Feel the reality of wealth flowing through your life, flowing through your life. Imagine your family looking to you with pride and sense the joy of being the first to achieve a level of success they never dreamed possible. The external world will align itself with this inner knowing. You are creating not just for yourself, but for the generations that follow. Your wealth is a signal to the universe, a living proof that the human experience can transcend any history, any limitation. When you carry the consciousness of prosperity, you are no longer part of the cycle of scarcity. You are its end, and you set in motion a new trajectory that others can follow. Being the first millionaire in your family is also a profound act of courage. It requires the willingness to see beyond the familiar patterns of thought and behavior. You must refuse to accept the assumptions that shaped past generations. Those around you may not yet understand your vision, but it is your inner reality, not external validation, that matters. That matters. You must persist in living as though abundance is your natural state, regardless of appearances. This unwavering commitment to your imagined identity signals to the universe that you are ready to step into a new level of being, one that breaks all previously established limitations. The process of breaking family power turns is also a process of expansion. As you assume the consciousness of wealth, your energy begins to shift. Old fears, doubts, and insecurities lose their hold over you. You begin to act in ways that were once unimaginable. Your choices reflect confidence, your actions reflect clarity, and your presence radiates the authority of someone who has arrived. In this state, the world cannot keep you confined to old patterns. You are the living evidence that consciousness can rewrite reality. Your wealth becomes a tangible manifestation of the new identity you hold within, and it carries the potential to inspire, uplift, and transform your family for generations. Breaking patterns is not only about financial success, it is about freedom. Freedom from limitation, from expectation, and from the notion that the past determines the future. Your imagination is the tool through which you transcend these barriers. When you embrace the feeling of being the first millionaire in your family, you step fully into the power of your consciousness. The outer world follows. Opportunities, resources, and connections appear naturally, drawn to the energy of someone who is no longer bound by inherited limitations. Your reality becomes a living demonstration of what is possible when one refuses to accept the past as destiny. By assuming this new identity, you create a legacy. It is a legacy not measured merely in wealth, but in possibility, courage, and vision. You become the proof that the story of a family can be rewritten, that limitations can be dissolved, and that consciousness, when fully embraced, has the power to transform generations. Being the first millionaire in your family is the ultimate act of creation, a personal triumph that reshapes history and plants the seed of abundance for all who come after you. Alignment with opportunities begins with the simple yet profound understanding that your inner state shapes everything that comes to you. When you fully embody wealth, abundance, and the consciousness of success, the world responds naturally. Ideas, people, and circumstances begin to align effortlessly with your vision, as if they are drawn by an invisible current that only responds to your feeling of having already arrived. Opportunities are never scarce. They are everywhere, waiting for you to recognize them, to feel them, and to step into their flow. The key is not to chase, struggle, or force them. but to maintain the state of mind and heart that signals to the universe, I am ready, I am worthy, and I am already abundant. From this state, the right doors open, the right people appear, and the perfect ideas manifest, all in harmony with your imagined reality. To embody wealth is to live as if your vision is already realized. It is to walk through life with the certainty and confidence of someone who has arrived without needing external proof. In this state, your perception changes. You begin to see connections where others see chance. You notice opportunities where others see obstacles. You attract collaborations, partnerships, and inspirations because your energy is resonant with abundance. People are drawn to your confidence, to your clarity, to your state of knowing. Circumstances shift, resources become available, and timing aligns perfectly, not because of luck, not because of luck, but because your inner state has created a magnetic field that organizes the outer world to match your consciousness. Opportunities are never random, they are the reflection of your dominant assumptions. When your mind and emotions are settled in wealth, you naturally recognize the paths that lead to your goals. Nothing appears coincidental. Meetings, conversations, ideas, and events all serve to bring you closer to the life you have imagined. The universe does not need to force success upon you. It merely reflects back to you the reality that corresponds to your inner state. If you dwell in abundance, you will naturally notice and attract the circumstances that support it. If you dwell in lack, scarcity appears. The outer world is faithful to the inner world, and alignment with opportunities is the natural reward of living in a state of wealth consciousness. This alignment is not about control, it is about resonance. When you embody abundance fully, your thoughts, feelings, and actions are coherent with your desired outcome. Your presence alone communicates readiness, and the world responds in kind. You begin to meet P. People who have the resources, knowledge, and influence to help you achieve your goals. You begin to see ideas that were hidden before, solutions that were invisible, and opportunities that feel tailor made for you. Everything in life begins to conspire in your favor because your consciousness has established a pattern that the universe follows faithfully. The more deeply you dwell in this state, the stronger the alignment becomes. Small coincidences turn into major breakthroughs. Ideas turn into initiatives, meetings turn into partnerships. Opportunities, once fleeting, begin to arrive with regularity. Your wealth consciousness does not merely attract money, it attracts the perfect circumstances that allow your vision to unfold fully. Every experience, every encounter, every insight is orchestrated by the inner state you maintain. You are no longer a passive observer of life. You are the conscious creator, and your alignment with opportunities is the manifestation of that creative power. True alignment requires persistence in feeling and assumption. It requires the refusal to be swayed by appearances or by temporary limitations. Even if the world seems chaotic, your inner state remains settled in abundance. When you live this way, you realize that opportunities have always existed. They were simply waiting for you to inhabit the consciousness capable of recognizing them. Your reality becomes a seamless reflection of your inner wealth, and life unfolds in a pattern of effortless growth, fulfillment, and prosperity. When fully embodied, wealth is more than a goal, it is a state that magnetizes the right circumstances into your life. Ideas, people, and opportunities no longer need to be hunted or persuaded. They naturally converge with your consciousness. You live as a beacon of abundance, and life responds with perfect alignment, proving that when the inner world is set, the outer world cannot help but obey. Freedom from fear and doubt is the cornerstone of living in abundance. When you truly assume wealth and prosperity as your natural state, scarcity and worry cannot exist in your reality. Fear is the voice of limitation, doubt the echo of uncertainty, and both are born from attachment to appearances rather than allegiance to your inner knowing. To live in true abundance is to declare silently and with unwavering conviction that the external world cannot dictate your state of being. Wealth is not something outside to earn or acquire, it is a feeling, a consciousness, a certainty that must be inhabited first. The moment you fully assume it, fear and doubt dissolve because they have no foundation where abundance is already accepted as truth. Fear arises when the mind looks at what is not yet seen and imagines lack, loss, or failure. Doubt appears when the ego questions its ability to manifest the life it desires. Both are illusions that bind the mind to limitation. But when you immerse yourself in the reality of already having, these illusions cannot survive. You do not wait for evidence to prove your worthiness. You feel it, inhabit it, and live it now. You walk through the world as if scarcity has no authority over you, and in doing so, life responds to the unwavering certainty of your consciousness. The outer world, which faithfully mirrors your inner state, conforms to the feeling you hold, not to the fleeting thoughts of worry or the stories of lack told by the mind. To assume abundance fully is to create a sanctuary within yourself where fear and doubt are not permitted entry. You recognize that every circumstance, no matter how challenging it may appear, is temporary and powerless against the certainty of your state. When you are anchored in wealth consciousness, setbacks are merely signals to return to your inner knowing, not proof of limitation. Your imagination becomes the laboratory in which your reality is formed. By dwelling in the feeling of having, by embracing the joy, satisfaction, and confidence of abundance, you render fear irrelevant. It cannot coexist with certainty because it is only real when believed. The more completely you live in this state, the less influence doubt has over your thoughts, your actions, and your life. Living free from fear and doubt does not mean ignoring the world or pretending that challenges do not exist. It means understanding that the outer world is a reflection of your inner consciousness. If you hold steady in the reality of abundance, the world conforms to match it. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to reaffirm your state rather than a reason to retreat into worry. Your energy shifts from anxiety to expectation, from hesitation to inspired action, and from limitation to possibility. Those who have mastered this principle understand that fear is a habit of thought that must be replaced with certainty. And doubt is a fleeting cloud that vanishes when the sun of inner knowing shines through. By fully assuming abundance, you step into a life that is not dependent on the approval of others, the outcome of events, or the timing of circumstances. Scarcity cannot enter where sufficiency is assumed. Worry cannot linger where certainty is embraced. The power of your consciousness becomes the measure of your reality. Each thought and feeling that aligns with wealth reinforces the outer manifestation, creating a cycle of unstoppable abundance. You become proof that living free from fear and doubt is not only possible but essential to the realization of wealth and prosperity. In this state, your mind is calm, your heart is confident, and your life flows effortlessly. You act from clarity, not from hesitation. You make decisions from insight, not from worry. And in doing so, the world responds to your inner authority. Freedom from fear and doubt is not a distant goal, it is the very condition of wealth. To live in abundance is to inhabit a consciousness so certain, so complete, that the outer world cannot contradict it. Scarcity and worry vanish, and life becomes a reflection of the richness you have always assumed as your own. The effortless flow of wealth is not a dream or a distant goal. It is the natural result of living in the certainty of already having it. Those who understand this principle know that money, prosperity, and abundance are not earned through struggle, fear, or relentless pursuit. They are drawn into life by the inner state of the individual. The universe does not respond to worry or striving. It responds to conviction, to the feeling of having, to the living assumption that wealth is already present. When you dwell in this certainty, money and opportunities move toward you as naturally as water flows to the lowest point. Kennard, wealth becomes not something to chase, but something to receive effortlessly because your consciousness has claimed it as truth. To experience the effortless flow of wealth, one must first embody the state of being wealthy in every thought, feeling, and action. It is not enough to desire riches or to think about them occasionally. You must imagine, feel, and live as though you already possess them. Your mind must dwell in the joy, satisfaction, and freedom that come from abundance, and your heart must know the reality of prosperity as if it were tangible and immediate. In this state, resistance disappears. The energy of lack, doubt, and struggle no longer binds you, and the universe mirrors back the certainty and fullness that you hold within. Money ceases to be something external to obtain. It becomes a natural companion to your life, arriving in ways both expected and uprising, all perfectly aligned with your inner state. The key to maintaining this flow is to remain unwavering in the assumption of wealth, regardless of temporary appearances. Circumstances may suggest scarcity, setbacks may appear, and others may doubt or question your success, but your inner knowing must remain steady. The world cannot impose lack on someone whose consciousness is fully aligned with abundance. Every financial opportunity, every resource, every connection, and every idea begins to appear in perfect timing. You do not need to force it or orchestrate it. Your certainty alone creates a magnetic field that organizes the outer world to match your inner reality. In this way, wealth is effortless because it is not dependent on action alone. It is the natural response of life to a settled state of consciousness. Those who live in the flow of effortless wealth understand that scarcity is an illusion and that the universe is abundant in every moment. By assuming abundance as a permanent state, they step into a reality where money is simply energy moving freely toward them. They act with confidence, make decisions from clarity, and take inspired actions that feel natural rather than forced. Their lives are marked by ease, not struggle, by opportunity, not limitation. The more consistently one inhabits this state, the more seamless and continuous the flow becomes. Wealth is no longer a goal to attain, it is the reflection of a consciousness fully aligned with its natural abundance. Effortless flow also transforms the way one interacts with life. Money becomes a tool, a vehicle for freedom, creativity, and expansion rather than a source of anxiety or control. Relationships, work, and opportunities all respond to the energy of certainty and generosity. Those who live in this state radiate confidence, trust, and openness, which in turn attracts the circumstance that sustain and increase wealth. The flow is not sporadic or conditional, it is constant and expanding because it is rooted in the immutable law that consciousness creates reality. To live in the effortless flow of wealth is to know that abundance is your natural state. You do not strive, you do not force, and you do not chase. You imagine, you feel, and you know. And in this knowing, life answers perfectly. Opportunities appear, resources multiply, and prosperity unfolds with grace. Money and wealth move toward you naturally, reflecting the certainty you carry within. The effortless flow of wealth is the proof that living in the consciousness of abundance is not only possible, but inevitable. It is the living expression of a mind aligned with the fullness of life itself. The legacy of possibility begins the moment you step into a reality that has never before existed in your family. Becoming the first millionaire is not merely a personal achievement, it is a transformation that extends far beyond your own life, creating a ripple effect that touches generations to come. When you embody wealth, abundance, and the consciousness of success, you demonstrate what is possible. Your life becomes living proof that limitations are not permanent and that the human spirit, when aligned with imagination and belief, can transcend any inherited circumstances. By assuming the identity of wealth and living fully from that state, you open the door for your descendants, your family, and even your community to imagine a greater reality. to believe in higher possibilities, and to act with confidence in the power of their own consciousness. Legacy is not measured in dollars or possessions alone. It is measured in the consciousness you impart and the example you set. When you become the first millionaire in your family, you are breaking the cycle of limitation that may have persisted for generations. The mindset of lack, the invisible rules that kept past generations confined, and the stories of impossibility are no longer binding. Your life becomes the living argument that abundance is not rare, luck is not required, and success is not reserved for a select few. By simply living in the state of wealth and prosperity, you are teaching through example, not through words, that it is possible to redefine what is normal, achievable, and expected. The impact of such a legacy extends beyond material wealth. It reshapes beliefs, expands visions, and cultivates courage in those who come after you. When children, siblings, or extended family members witness a life lived in abundance, they are unconsciously absorbing the possibility that they too can create wealth, that they too can break patterns, and that their future is not predetermined by history. Your achievement becomes the seed of inspiration that grows in their imagination. They see that prosperity is attainable and that limitation is only real when assumed in this way. When assumed in this way, your wealth is both literal and symbolic. It provides material resources while simultaneously elevating consciousness, opening minds to new potential, and planting the certainty that anything can be imagined and achieved. Creating a legacy of possibility also requires conscious awareness. It is not enough to accumulate wealth for oneself. One must maintain the state of consciousness that allows it to expand naturally and consistently. By living in abundance and modeling the principles of wealth consciousness, you create a framework that others can follow. Your decisions, your behaviors, your mindset, and your habits become the blueprint for future generations. They inherit not just money, but the understanding that their consciousness is the ultimate source of creation. They learn that reality responds to the inner state and that they are the creators of their own destiny, and that prosperity is born from assumption and feeling rather than struggle and external circumstances. This legacy is timeless because it transforms the very notion of what is possible. It rewrites the story of your family, replacing limitation with empowerment, doubt with certainty, and struggle with opportunity. Every financial choice you make, every demonstration of confidence, and every act of generosity reinforces this message. Your life becomes a living testimony, a standard of what can be achieved when imagination and belief are fully embraced. Generations after you will feel the effects of this consciousness shift, not only in resources but in their capacity to dream, to believe, and to act without fear. To create a legacy of possibility is to understand that wealth is not just personal, it is transformative. By becoming the first millionaire in your family, you establish a new paradigm, a higher standard, and a future unbound by the limitations of the past. You are not just building a life for yourself, you are planting the seeds of inspiration, courage, and abundance for all who follow. Your consciousness becomes the foundation of a new reality, proving that the power to create, to transcend, and to expand is always within reach. This is the true meaning of legacy. Not merely what is left behind, but the possibilities that are awakened, nurtured, and made inevitable through your life. Now, I am the first millionaire in my family, not by chance, not by struggle, but by the certainty of my consciousness. Every thought, every feeling, every moment has been aligned with the reality I chose before it appeared. I have broken patterns, rewritten history, and stepped into a life that reflects the abundance I have always assumed. Wealth flows effortlessly because I dwell in the state of having free from fear and doubt. Opportunities, people, and circumstances naturally converge to mirror my inner knowing. This is not just my victory, it is a legacy of possibility for generations to come. My family, my future, and the world witness the proof that consciousness creates reality. I do not wait, I do not hope, I do not wish, I am. And in this being, the universe responds perfectly, reflecting back the richness, freedom, and prosperity that I have always been.